grade levels. We know we've got lots of different people who are here. So the presentation was the same and will be the same here for this third one too. But obviously, before I want to start too, I want to say hi. I'm Dan Gebauer. I'm the building principal here at North Middle School, and Jessica Gieryn, who our associate principal. She's also here today too, and she'll introduce herself a little bit later in the meeting. And what I'm doing too is I'm just admitting people also as I'm going through. So again, thank you for being here. We had great turnouts. I think we had 80 plus for both of our first two meetings. So hopefully this will be informative. We have a chat feature, so if you do have questions as we're going through, please use that chat feature to ask the questions. And Ms. Gieryn is going to answer some of those questions as we're going through, or if it's a question that needs to go to the group, we might just repeat it and talk a little bit about it too. So just to start, I want to talk about our talking points for the day. We're going to be talking about how we're opening the building for our students, our hybrid instructional model at North Middle School. What does that look like? What are you going to expect? What can your students, your children expect? Our building procedures, and then if we have time free, what we'll do is we will just keep on answering questions as we go. So we've got a stop time of 11:50. The presentation takes about 20-ish minutes to complete. So before we start, I just want to say thank you for your understanding. It's been an interesting summer, to say the least, as we've reinvented our schedule. We had planned on doing that over a 2-year period of time, bringing in, typically you want to bring in parents and you want to get student feedback and staff feedback. The schedule was reinvented quickly, and there's some really good reasons, and I'll go into those a little bit later too, but you're going to see that your child will have just more time in their core time, their science, social studies, math, and language arts, without sacrificing electives too. So our instructional methods that we're going to be using are different. They're going to be different from when we went into virtual last year too for our hybrid students. So you're going to see what I like to call just a better and more engaging form of instruction as we move forward too. With all of that said, we are hoping to just nail like 95% of these things before the beginning of the year, knowing that there's going to be things that we're going to have to make some changes to, some adjustments to as we go. You know, this is the hybrid model is a brand new way of teaching for our teachers. It's not reinventing teaching by any means, but it is different. So we're going to take some time. We're going to go slowly. We're going to get kids on board. We're going to make sure everybody feels comfortable moving forward. I mean, kids have been out of school for 6 months, which is hard to believe. But we know that, you know, it's going to take a little time to get them back in and acclimated to what things are looking like right now. So. I know this first slide does say 6th grade first days, but I do want to just gleam over a couple of things. All of our students are going to be in their first core class for an extended period of time. Our 8th graders do understand how, or the building, but the building is going to work a lot differently with the new schedule this year too. So we want to ensure that they're going to understand what our new procedures are going to be, what their schedules are going to look like, how things are different. They're going to learn safety procedures. We're going to distribute locks and assign lockers at that time too. We're not bringing students in before. We're going to do it during that day or during that first week of school. So, and then the last thing I want to say is, believe it or not, I think we're going to even have some fun during those first couple of days too. It will be wonderful to see people back. We're so excited to, I mean, none of us got into teaching on our end to do it over a computer as I'm speaking to you all right now. We're super excited, and we're thrilled that at least in this hybrid model, we're going to be able to see your students in person for a couple of days a week. So
we're going to have fun at all grade levels.
We're going to have fun at all grade levels. So some of the things I'm going to talk directly now about what hybrid instruction looks like for our students. We're going to have 2 cohorts, and those cohorts are going to be determined and communicate it out early next week. So will you be in A cohort or will you be in B cohort? We're using an equitable manner to divvy up our students in those cohorts. We want to make sure that we're balanced, that our numbers are as balanced as we can make them. And then the big thing is we want to make sure that our families who have students at the elementary level and at the high school level are going to have their students on the same schedule. So a student in cohort A who is attending on Mondays and Tuesdays at North should also have their siblings on the same cohort too. Just thinking about, you know, what's going to be easiest for our parents. We know that there's no way to make it perfect, but we feel like the way that we're doing takes into account a lot of different things and for what's best for our students too. We do know that it's just a huge lift for you as parents. We always keep that at the back of our mind when we're making any of the decisions that we're making. So know that we are trying to think through those things too. So we do appreciate, you know, your support with everything so far. So our new schedule structure for our 8th grade students, 8th grade and 7th grade looks the same. So I'll talk about those in a similar manner. If you do have a 6th grader, our 6th graders will have just 70-minute core blocks: science, social studies, math, and ELA. Our 8th grade and our 7th grade, they'll have 70-minute ELA, English language arts, and math blocks every day. So every day your child will get 70 minutes of English language arts and math. It's an increase, it's a significant increase from the 49-minute class period that we had last year. We're excited for that. We're going to be able to do some great things, I believe, with that extra time. 7th and 8th grade science and social studies is a pretty significant change. They're going to be receiving 90 minutes of science instruction or social studies instruction the first semester. So they will not be having science and social studies at the same time in 7th and 8th grade. So that first semester, they may be assigned science, they may be assigned social studies. We're hoping to get our schedules out by the end of the week next week so that you'll know where they land with that. So they're going to get one full semester, 90 minutes every day. So the amount of time that they have is really very close to what they had last year. We're just doing it in a semester as opposed to a full, we're not stringing it out over a full year. This reduces your child's amount of times that they're in the hall during the day. For safety purposes, we just view that as being huge. It also reduces the amount of homework that they're going to have. So they're not carrying social studies and science homework all year. They have science homework their first semester, they have social studies homework their second semester. You know, we hope this doesn't happen if our numbers go rapidly up and we have to move into full virtual. It's just one less contact your child will have to navigate during that time too. We also have held our electives together and 50 minutes each. So we're happy to see that our electives continue to be 50 minutes each, and we're going to be able to run those too. So our benefits, like I said, less transitions, increased core time, and then with our new schedule too, we've gone from 8 different schedules to 28 different schedules. And our school counselors have been working diligently with district office on figuring that out, and we are starting to load our students into that. But because of that, when 6th graders are transitioning, 7th and 8th graders are still in their classes. So we don't have more than one grade level except for 2 times during the day in the hallway at one time. So when we're talking about social distancing and keeping our students as separate from each other as possible, this really hits the mark with that, and we're thrilled and excited that we're going to be able to do that. And that allows Ms. Gieryn and I to be in the hall in specific spots where we know students are going to be transitioning to help them continue to follow building procedures and policies when it comes down to those transitions in the hallways. So we're very excited for those things. So instruction now that we're starting in this hybrid model, and what I've got in front of you is a 5-day week. So if we were in school for 5 days, this is what it would look like. If you were Group A, you will be in person Monday and Tuesday and every other Wednesday. If you are Group B, during that time, you would be attending class via video, and that's synchronous video, meaning live video that Monday and Tuesday, and then every other Wednesday. And then our Group B students will come into the school Thursday and Friday, and they'll do the in-person learning, and our Group A students will be attending class via video conference. Now, with a 70-minute block, with a 90-minute block, does that mean your child will be focusing on a video the entire time? Absolutely not. You know, we're looking at like a 30-minute period of time where they attend that synchronous, they call it synchronous instruction or live instruction, that they get exactly what the other students are getting during that time too. And then there's the opportunities to use breakout rooms. I'm going to talk a little bit about the technology that we're going to be using for that moving forward. So it's definitely a huge change for students and staff. We are training our staff members right now, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. But this is what a typical week of instruction would look like if we had all 5 days. Now, that being said, a lot of the questions coming up are our cohorts, especially with that first week, those first 2 weeks. What is that going to look like? Because we don't have school Monday the 31st of August, nor do we have school on Labor Day on the 7th. So our first week of school, cohort A will be joining us Tuesday and Wednesday, cohort B, Thursday, Friday. And then that next week, same thing, cohort A, Tuesday, Wednesday, cohort B, Thursday, Friday. Now there will be no synchronous instruction that first week. So cohort B won't even have their computers at that time. In essence, for cohort B, Tuesday and Wednesday will be just, I guess it's for lack of a better term, extended summer vacation. Cohort A will have that on Thursday and Friday. When we get into school the next week, the week of the 7th, that's when the synchronous, or that's when we expect students to be logging in, and our hybrid classes will be together during those times too. So this calendar, and we're going to send out this presentation to parents, but this calendar is for that first month. The district has committed through October 2nd to being in hybrid. So you see, you know, once we get into the third week, we're in 5-day weeks, and it becomes an every other day. That first month, obviously, there's 12 days in for Group B, there's 13 days in for Group A. But Group A does get shortchanged a little bit on Wednesday, the 2nd and 9th, because it is early release those days too. So we will continue to commit out, or to communicate out, I should say, these calendars if we do stay in hybrid after October 2nd, if district office does make that decision based on the metrics that they are looking at. We will again then send another calendar out to you to ensure that it's not confusing. The instructional tools, that first week, all students will be receiving their Chromebooks. It's going to be distributed the first week of school. So if you're cohort A, it will be that Tuesday, Wednesday. Cohort B will be Thursday, Friday. Realistically, we intend on getting those first days your children are there, because there are a lot of different items that we're in essence going to have to boot camp them on. So when they are in that hybrid situation, we are going to be live streaming video to students. And we're going to be using something called Big Blue Button. Within our learning management system, Schoology, there's something called Conferences, and then it connects to Big Blue Button. So Big Blue Button is in essence like Zoom, but there's a whiteboard feature, there's breakout features, and it's secure. That's the big thing that we're excited about, how secure it is. You have to be logged into Schoology as a student in Menominee Falls. You can't send somebody the link who's outside of the district to get into a class. Those classes are secure. Teachers will be recording the lessons during that time also. So through recording those lessons, they're going to be on Schoology for students to be able to reference for 7 days. After 7 days, we do lose those videos. So if a student was to get sick, just a normal everyday sick day, they could access that video still within 7 days. Or if a student wanted to go back and review what the teacher had to say, whether they're at home or even if they're at school, it's a absolutely wonderful universal tool for students to be able to use. And like I said, it's got some nice features. It's got a great whiteboard feature, and it's got we've got the ability to do breakout rooms. So if students are in book clubs, teachers can assign them to breakout rooms and then monitor breakout rooms where they'll have conversations with each other in small groups. We do continue to use the Google Suite, Google Docs, Google slide presentations like I'm using today. And then we do have the continued use of Google Hangouts for one-on-one meetings if those do need to happen. So we've got some really great instructional tools. Those tools are being communicated out with staff right now, and they're learning how to use those, along with we're going to be spending that first week of in-service really honing in our skills, ensuring that we can hit the ground running as best as possible those first couple of weeks of school with those tools. So staff is excited. We've got a much more robust platform for instruction as compared to where we were when we had to pivot quickly last March into online learning, where this year we'll be able to have that synchronous or that live online learning for our students so that we do continue with our curriculum. So within that block teaching structure, we're going to be talking with our teachers. What does a great block look like? What are the best practices within that? Direct instruction for all students at school and at home. So the main goal, and I'm going to go to that last point, is to get through our rigorous curriculum. We're not going to be picking and choosing what we're doing. We are going to be doing everything that we have within our curriculum. And I feel like we're going to be able to do it very well. So it's very exciting. If you do have a child who is not in school for a period of time because they're sick, they could still, even if they're in the hybrid, they could continue to attend online with their classes, and they wouldn't even be, we wouldn't mark them absent if they're able to still work from home. I think that's kind of one of those I guess they call it an Easter egg that you discover, you know. It's a wonderful aspect of the technology. Now, obviously, if they are sick and they're not able to participate and they need to get better, you know, you would just call them in on a typical, way that they'd be absent that day. But if they're able to participate at home when they're sick, they can continue to do that. So to us, that's absolutely exciting. So. Some frequently asked questions regarding instructions. School supplies is a big one that's coming up. I would say we do want students to utilize that list still and to bring in those items. It's really important that they have their own items because we are not using any communally shared items. Like we've seen Post-it notes just kind of from the middle of tables for kids to grab from. Kids will be using their own equipment to the absolute most degree possible this year, just for health and safety reasons. Students acclimating themselves into the building before September 1st, and this is more for our 6th graders. We are going to really be going slowly that first week, knowing that we've got new students to the building, our new 6th graders. We don't see a need for school students to come into the building before then. If this is something, though, that you feel like is necessary, please just contact Ms. Gieryn or I, and we can talk through that. When will we know which block our child is in, that A versus B? We'll be able to report that out early next week, Monday, Tuesday at the latest. We are going through and making sure that that's split as best as possible and that all of our schools within the district are on the same page. Students with IEPs, how are those services provided? We are going to continue to provide services to all of our students with IEPs. Right now, we have a number of students who are all virtual with IEPs, so we've had to make some case adjustments. We have some special education teachers who are just going to be virtual special education teachers. So once we have those down, and we should by the end of the week, we'll be able to communicate that out with you as soon as possible. And those case managers will touch base with families as they move on. So Ms. Gieryn, any questions coming through that I need to answer for the group?
There was one question about live, the live video conferencing, and I think I answered it, that we are asking students engage in learning in live video conferencing while the class is going on after the first week.
Yes, so they would, in essence, follow their similar schedule during that time.
There are also some questions if the parents are at work and the student is at home and they have technology problems. They will not be penalized for that. They will not get in trouble for that. Just reach out, have the student, have your student Schoology message the teacher and just let the teacher know what's happening, and we'll help them the best that we can from here. But there shouldn't be that stress level at home that they can't figure it out and then they're going to get in trouble.
We'll have a helpline set up right off the bat too, because we do anticipate there being questions that will need, quick answers. So we'll be able to triage those things as we come through. It's part of what we expect as we're moving forward. So quick questions.
Yep, the first week of school will not be synchronous. So you will not, the group A and group B will not be expected to do the live video conferencing for the first week. So during that first week, that's when we'll teach them how to use the Chromebook. We'll teach them how to use Schoology. We'll teach them everything they need to know to do the synchronous when they go home.
Okay, Ms. Gieryn, you're on.
All right, so thank you all for being here. Good morning, North Star families. Keeping North Stars safe in the building in the hybrid model is something that we've been thinking a lot about. And so what we're really trying to do is we're really trying to keep that social distancing. We're trying to keep the physical distancing as much as possible and then mitigate that risk of students all being in the same class together. Since we're at 50% capacity, that's just a little bit easier there. However, we do have some procedures in place. For arrival, 6th graders will meet at the same door, the FIAD door. So if you're looking at the school from where you got dropped off in the bus or from your car, if you're looking at it from Garfield, it's all the way on the left-hand side, 6th graders. 7th graders are all the way on the right-hand side in the auditorium doors. And the 8th graders are where they normally go in, which is in the orchestra lobby doors right through the middle. If there is a rain or extreme cold, we have places for them to be too. There will be many staff members out there answering questions and letting you know where you need to stand when you first get dropped off. Everyone gets dropped off in the same place. Then if you're a 6th grader, you go to FIAD, 7th auditorium, 8th orchestra lobby. So another thing we're trying to do is we're trying to keep the hallways as empty as possible, or as few people crossing and the intermixing. We're trying to decrease that. So the 6th graders will come in at 7:05. So 6th graders are going to come in at 7:05. They can go right upstairs, go to their locker, get what they need to do, and then they go to their first.
Yeah. I can't with her.
First floor will be let in at 7:08. So they're on the first floor. Then at 7:11, 7th graders will be allowed to go in. We are allowing them to keep their backpacks so they can go to their locker or not go to their locker and keep their backpacks. We anticipate this to even alleviate more the congregating around lockers. At the end of the day, you will go out the same door you came in. 6th graders will be released at 2:28, so they'll have a little extra time to go to their locker or to get out to the bus. 2:31, 8th grade will be dismissed, and then 2:34, 7th grade will be dismissed. Again, trying to decrease the amount of students in the hallway at the same time. Lunch is a big question for everyone. Lunch, we will be doing cafeteria in the hybrid model. Since we have 50% capacity, then we're going to take 50% of that, and we're going to do, the first group eats in the cafeteria and then goes outside. The second group goes outside and then eats in the cafeteria, so they're switching. Between those groups, the tables will be cleaned. Hand sanitizers are all in classrooms, hallways. We're asking that students use a hand sanitizer going in and coming out of classrooms. Desks will be cleaned between classes. Like I said, you'll be allowed to carry your backpacks in the hybrid model because we are having fewer students in the classroom, allowing for more distance, and there'll be more room for those backpacks. As soon as you get dropped off, you put on your face covering. So face covering is on anytime you're on school grounds or in the building. So the face coverings. There's no restriction on face coverings. You can use those neck
Gators.
gaiters, or you can use the ones that go around your ears or whatever you choose to use as long as it's school appropriate. You can get designs on it, just have to make sure that it's a school appropriate design. Reduced class sizes should end up adding more distance between students in the classroom. Another thing we're doing is we're adding one-way directional hallways and some two-way, but the main square in the 7th and 8th grade and or the first floor or the second floor you'll be going counterclockwise. There is tons of signage that's going to be up so you will know exactly what you're doing. Plus staff members will be out. Plus we'll be working on this the first week of school. So students should know what they need to do. If they don't know, they can look at the signs or they can ask a staff member and we'll figure that out. We don't want to increase their stress. We just want to decrease the amount of people that they see or intermix with. Halls, hallway signs are being put up now. You just look up and see whether it's a two-way or a one-way and which way you have to go. Staircases are all two ways. For drills, if we have to do a fire or lockdown, we have to do one a month. They'll be done by class, so we won't be pulling everyone together at that time. So this is where I'm going to add all these questions that you're asking in the chat and that we've asked the last 2 meetings, and then we'll ask for the next 3 meetings. We'll put these frequently asked questions within this presentation at the end so that we have all those answers. But the one that I have that I get most often is social distancing. And those are all the things that I've been thinking about as we've been trying to plan for building procedures. And it's basically how can we decrease the amount of times that students pass each other. And so in the classrooms with the 50% capacity, that'll be easier. And then with our staggered arrival and dismissal, and then with our new schedule, the amount of kids in the lockers and the fact that we can carry the backpacks, it should decrease that significantly. Yes, they can use their own hand sanitizers. So I'm going to look at the questions. So they can use their own hand sanitizers. We have hand sanitizer everywhere in the building right now. We've set it up already. That's already in place. I use it and Mr. Gebauer uses it and everyone who comes in here uses it. And so, but you can bring your own hand sanitizer, bring your own mask. You should bring your own mask. If someone doesn't have a mask when they come in, we'll provide you a mask just to make sure everybody is staying safe in that way. Face shields, that's a good question.
So face shields, they're allowed, but students still have to have a mask on. Yep.
Okay, we have some time left. So are there any other, or we're going to keep going?
I'm going to keep going, yeah.
And then we're going to get
yeah.
questions, sorry.
So yeah, the last thing I do want to address, so a lot of the questions, like if there's a COVID case at North, you know, what's the policy, what's the procedure? So if there is any kind of, you know, COVID case at North, what we would do is we would work with the department, Waukesha County Department of Health and Human Services. So they would be able to give us an idea as to what exactly we need to do next. Now, the communication to you is absolutely huge. Depending on the situation, I mean, if your child was directly involved in a situation where they were near somebody who might have been exposed, you would provide, we would provide you of that information. If there was a building case, it might be a little bit more of a generic letter that would come home. Obviously giving you as much information as humanly possible. Because I mean, my daughter's 6th grade next year. If she was exposed or if there's somebody in the classroom next to her, I'd want to know about that immediately. So as a parent, I could make the best decision for my family at that point. So the totality of the situation is always going to be taken into account when decisions are made to quarantine for communication pieces and stuff. Obviously, you know, we wouldn't put out people's names who may have been, you know, exposed, but, and then that communication would most likely stay at North unless there's a specific reason to move beyond North, because there might have been another sibling who might have been exposed at a different school. We would have to look at that entire situation and then work with the Department of Health and Human Services within Waukesha County. District office is a big portion of that decision-making process too. So it's not just Ms. Gieryn and I working in isolation to make decisions like that. It really is a team of people who will be able to make the best decision for which our number one priority is always going to be the health of all of our students. So communication is key. And, you know, as much as you can communicate with us, if there is something that happened in your family where, you know, someone was exposed, if you can provide us that information, first, obviously, we will keep, you know, as much confidence as possible, but we can provide our district team that information and we can rapidly start to assess that situation and make the decisions, like I said, that are best for the health of our students and our staff members in the building. So this does come or take it to the end of what we had to present for you. So all we ask, if you have questions, is if you can put them in the chat. We've got some time to any questions that you might have. And then if you're coming into the presentation, please make sure that you mute yourself. I thought I had it on that it was muting everybody, but it's not doing that anymore. So.
All right, so if COVID stays steady or drops, is our ultimate goal to get back to 5 days a week? Yes, all the time. Our goal is always to go back 5 days a week. We want our students to be here. We know that's the best for them, is to be with us, and we want them to be here. So that's always the goal. We do have a question about can't use a mask for a medical reason. Where do they go? What do they click on?
Yeah, if you've got a medical reason for that, if you can contact, if you just send me an email and I can get that ball rolling in the right direction with our Department of Student Services, and we'd be able to go through that process. It's a process that I haven't gone through yet. So, but yeah, just send me an email and I can start the ball rolling on that too. So.
Yep, so I posted the metrics that they use, that they have on their website, in the chat. And one of the questions is, are we going to start looking at metrics and make a change after October 2nd? And yeah, they'll use the metrics to make the change or not change or whatever they need to do after that.
Early release is continuing. Yeah, that schedule will be the same as it was last year.
Okay, so someone's asking about the schedule again. Can you go back to that in the presentation?
Okay. So cohort B would start September 3rd. That is correct. I'll go back to that. There it is.
Yep, the AB is the what we call the hybrid model, where we only have 50% capacity. So
the question, why do we have early release? And early release originally was set up so that we were able to provide less of those days off during the year for professional development, but more of that ongoing professional development for teachers. So what we used early release for last year and the year before that, and what we'll use it for this year, is just ensuring that our groups of like subjects, so like our 6th grade English language arts teachers, we'll be planning out during those times and ensuring that they're all on the same page with instruction. For us to be successful within this model, there needs to be cohesion within the school regarding that. That time is used, it is absolutely precious for us as instructors, and for us to be able to meet whole building wise too, just to flesh out some of those, you know, different things. And I anticipate the first couple of early releases, we're going to be working on making some adjustments to what we're doing.
So someone asked, if someone in the child's cohort tested positive, does the entire cohort get quarantined? Where do they go for that?
So that's a great question. If somebody did test positive, we would again look at the totality of the situation. It's quite possible that the whole cohort could be quarantined. I don't want to say that it would or wouldn't, but we do have the infrastructure in tech-wise with that hybrid, so they wouldn't be hybrid, they would just be virtual with their classes at that point until that quarantine is over. So learning does continue on. You know, the idea behind the hybrid is we know that we are at our best when we have kids in the building in front of us. That's why we all got into teaching. But we know that, you know, there is the possibility that we could move a cohort into a fully virtual situation for a period of time. So
are there any changes to busing?
Busing, students will be wearing masks on busing. And I know Johnson will send out, we send out the route information. Yeah. There will be some more information within there too, as to what it is. Johnson's got a pretty robust cleaning protocol. I believe they will be sharing out too. So clubs and sports, right now we have an athletic directors meeting on the 17th of August regarding our fall sports at North Middle School. What we want to do is we do want to look at where our metrics are before we make the call on our sports. You know, can they be run? Should they be delayed? Are there some sports that you know, we can do versus some that we can't? We are looking at all of those different things right now regarding our sports and our clubs. We really want to be able to run those. I can't tell you how much we do, because we know that students flourish in those things, and that's what I think keeps everybody's sanity during this challenging time too. So cohort A would be on the 1st and the 2nd. Cohort B or cohort A would be off on the 3rd and the 4th. There would be no synchronous instruction for them during that time. Yeah. So
regular instruction, synchronous, would start on the 8th then, right after Labor Day.
The student names, how they're going to be placed in both the cohorts. We're looking at a breakdown of where our where we get the most equalized amount of names. So I don't have that exact, but we will be able to share that out early next week. I know elementary principals are working through a couple of logistical issues with that, because their challenges are a little different from our challenges. So we want to make sure that they have the opportunity to flesh some of those things out before we make an announcement.
Yep, school supply lists are on the website.
And our web leaders, I know our web leaders, we had a private question about that, have reached out to our web students now. And we are working on some activities web leaders will be able to work on with our 6th graders this year that are social distance based. They've got a lot of fun activities that don't require students to be able to contact each other and everything too. So we view our web leaders as absolutely super important for the beginning of our school year, and to let our 6th graders know when they come in that there is some normality to our situation.
We've got a lot of questions about busing. So busing will be, the routes and things will be coming to you from Johnson Bus themselves. So we don't know that yet.
Drop off and pickup will be the same process as last year. We really did knock around a lot of different ideas, utilizing the back of the building as a possibility, and it created such a log jam that we decided that we would keep the same process, especially since we're starting in that hybrid. So realistically speaking, when we're bringing in our students, we've got about 25% of our students are virtual only. They won't be in the building at all first semester. And then you cut the remaining amount in half, we're gonna have about 320-ish students in the building at a time to start the year. So a very manageable number, especially when it comes down to us teaching them procedures.
Pick up and drop off will be on Garfield as normal.
And we're gonna send out a map in regards to this too that will show, did you explain that?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry. We're gonna send out a map that will show where students are to go then for that first, when they come to school that first day too.
And what door to go in. Okay, we have about 8 minutes.
You know, I don't think we added it too, though. If like you leave the meeting and you're like suddenly, aha, please give either Ms. Gieryn or I a call or drop us an email. Be patient with some of our response times. I counted my emails yesterday. I had 200. So totally understand why, but I will get back to you if you do ask though, so.
And the AB is the same across the district. So K-12, last name will put you in your cohort. And so if you do have a first grader and an 8th grader, they'll be in the same cohort.
Yeah, appointments, the procedure really doesn't change. You'll go to the Main Street side. They'll have you wait in that little vestibule there. We're limiting the amount of students, or I'm sorry, we're limiting the amount of visitors in the building, but we would just call down people as typical.
Yep, we'll have signage, and already there's signage there, one family at a time, and then where they can stand.
And the amount of students, again, with the hybrid model, approximately, I don't have the exact number, but we're thinking approximately 310, 320 at a time to start. The no school days are going to be considered for different cohorts. We're going to write out an equalized schedule. We're trying not to write out too many we're not doing it for the whole year yet, just because our hope is that we bring in our kids 5 days eventually if those numbers go down. We will send out calendars to parents if we do continue within a hybrid, and we'll do that as early as we know when we're ready to do that. So if your 8th grade, I see a question, if your 8th grader has obligations for childcare, or any of your students have obligations for childcare, they can always go back in and watch the lessons later. Just let us know in that situation. They will absolutely not be marked absent. We totally get the understanding of just having to be flexible in these situations.
Yep. Let the teacher know, let us know, and we'll take care of it on a case-by-case situation.
Our band kids, what we've done is we've created additional band classes that run concurrently, so you would have half the amount of kids in band classes. In the 7th and 8th grade, the numbers are a lot lower. We are getting in some research right now about the amount of aerosol spray that comes from students singing in choir and playing wind instruments in band. And we're working through those pieces right now because health and safety is the absolute most important thing too. So we might have to make a pivot in how we deliver band and choir for next year too. We do have very large spaces that we can use. We're thinking about our outside too. So, oh, the cleaning wipes, don't bring them in. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're going to have to modify the. Yeah, you do not have to bring in the cleaning wipes. They're impossible.
Thank you. Good question. Yep. I'll make a note of it because they're on the supply list, I bet.
Yeah, they're on my child's supply list in Elmbrook, and I saw them there, and I said, you can't get them anymore.
No,
sorry.
No, and we'll provide those. Sorry about that. They're still on there. I will take care of that. That was a good question. I like your questions. Are really helping us figure things out. Did you look at the village and traffic flow? Traffic flow,
we're working with Officer Gopinski right now on that. You know, knowing that our numbers are going to be a little bit less dropping off right off the bat. Our traffic flow should be less than what we're expecting, but Officer Gopinski will be able to monitor that and make changes as necessary for those things too.
It's a good question.
Yep, it's a great question.
We have about 4 minutes.
And again, thank you for all the questions. We do appreciate it. You know, and each day we come up with a couple more. And just kind of as people are thinking through any of their last questions too, again, contact us at any time. We're going to send out communications with you. We're going to try to limit them as much as possible and be very to the point with them, knowing that you guys are probably reading a lot of different things on a day-to-day basis too. So. The road work, I don't have a timeline on that right now where it's going to be, when it's going to exactly be, you know, finishing over there on, I'm looking at it from my office right now too. So you should be able to get through Garfield to Appleton Avenue.
Online registration Monday.
We're going to send out a communication. District will send out a communication on online registration. I did say that it was going to be the 15th. I believe right now it's actually going to be on the 17th. So you're going to see a communication from that very, very soon. If a child wanted to stay home on the in-person days, can they do this? Yeah, if they do that, that's fine. A communication, if you send it to through the office, letting us know that. And if you can, you know, courtesy copy the teacher, that would be great too. Totally understand there might be some nervousness with kids who are in this hybrid model who might want to be home for X, Y, or Z reasons. They can definitely join in on the instruction still too. We want to make sure that we are as absolutely flexible for you as possible.
Mm-hmm. Just let us know and then we can work through it. All registration will be online.
All registration will be online. No in-building registration. All registration will be online for this year. Anything that students are going to receive, like assignment notebooks and lockers, we're going to do that first week. Just keeping people out of the building as long as possible.
Okay, we have about 1 more minute.
Pictures, we are going to have pictures. We're going to schedule them once the school year begins. We're in talks with our vendor for that. We do want to make sure that, that kids are able to get their pictures, and they could even take the masks off for those pictures too. So, but yeah, we will have pictures. They're just going to be coming a little bit later in the year.
They'll be scheduled during the school day.
During the school day, yes. You can pay fees online and you can pay them by check too.
Yeah.
Whatever is easiest for you.
People will be here to collect those checks if you want to bring them in. For our bathroom, we're going to try to limit the amount of people in the bathroom. There'll be signage for that, but bathroom breaks will be very similar to what it's always been. You can go to the bathroom if you need to. Just have to ask your teacher.
Yeah, if a student is having a hard time, you know, breathing and they need to take that break, you know, I think we would just try to use as much common sense as possible. You know, if they need to leave the room and walk out to do that. I know I need to do that quite often myself too. So yes, there will definitely be mask breaks. We're going to just work on that with teachers to make sure that we are flexible. If a student does need to do that, we would give them the opportunity to do that. We're going to take advantage of the nice weather right off the bat too, during some of our longer breaks. If we need to take a walk, you know, outside to take that mask break, we're just really going to empower our teachers to be very flexible and to use, you know, common sense when it comes down to those kinds of things too.
Absolutely. Okay, our time is up, Mr. Gebauer.
Well, thank you again for being here today. We really appreciate it. We do hope this was informative. And if you do have other questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at any time.
Thank you for your thanks in the chat and for your gratefulness and appreciation. That really makes our job enjoyable. This is a tough position that we're all in. So working all together and you asking questions and pushing us to have answers and trying to find those answers, that really helps us make sure that your children, our North Stars, are safe and they learn a lot here.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you to everyone.